Our next guest doesn't really need an introduction. The one, the only reigning NHRA Pro Mod drag racing champion, Stevie Fast Jackson. And I can't tell if you're going, are we going to do an interview or are we going like shooting?
Whatever you want to do, baby. We're from the South. We're ready for anything. Interviews, social media. There's no racing to do, so we're like pressure washing stuff and chopping down trees and things like that. So we,
you guys,
we're ready.
You're a full-time operation. So what are you doing to like? I mean, you guys are well known for keeping your stuff well maintained and ready to go. Does this have you guys tearing everything apart and redoing it, or what?
I will have our race operation so screwed up by the time it's time to go drag racing that we'll be lucky if it will start. Because the worst thing that you can do is give me some time to like think about what to do to make it better. So we had all our engines lined up and ready to go by the door. Since then, we've taken them all in the engine room. The problem is when you start changing components without taking it to the track. So you'll be like, you'll put a camshaft in it, and you'll think about it for about 3 days, and you'll change it. Well, it may run good, may not. I don't know. So I'll have it screwed up. We're over-maintaining everything. There's projects that you can make all the time to do. We're doing a bunch of dumb stuff that we would never do, but I'm keeping my guys on. I'm keeping them paying their full rip, and I told them as long as we can find something to do, we're going to race until I'm broke. So we're busy.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, man, because that's been something that I think's weighing on the mind of everybody. Like, hey, how do we keep these shops busy? How do we keep guys working? I'm curious. I know you had an unfortunate situation down at our deal here a couple of weeks ago. Your world championship winning Pro Mod Camaro got into the wall, tore it up pretty good down there. I was glad to see you were okay, but I know there was a bunch of shuffling getting ready to go on, and you made headlines that you were going to bring the Nitrous car that Jeffrey Barker had been driving out to the Gator Nationals. Now that you've got some time to kind of collect yourself, what does the game plan look like moving forward?
So, as always, it's a big thrash to get stuff done when something terrible happens. Your race was an awesome event. I hope you're proud of yourself for that. It was a good deal. Everybody that came and attended it had a good time. The racers all had a good time. Ozzy and Maria did a good job.
Awesome people.
It was. I thought it was an awesome event. I wanted to win that deal. Race OSW and Orlando Speed World are sponsors of mine. Getting into the wall and piling that thing up in the first round, basically of the first round of the season. That's a ominous cloud. We came out swinging, man. I really over prepared in the off season, and we're ready to rip. We came out and we're struggling. We're running fast. We got new stuff, but getting the car basically stripped and sent off, and then getting the Barker Max Moby Dick Nitrous World Future Total Overall World Record holding gorilla that nobody will ever get close to a tenth of what it'll run, getting it ready in 3 days, getting a seat poured, seat belts. Jeffrey's a big guy. I can't reach the pedals. I mean, just all chassis certifications and tech cards, and it's in Georgia and I'm in Florida. It was a massive 3 days to get it there. We finally get it to Gainesville. I sit in the thing. I'm like, I haven't drove a Nitrous car in a long time. So I'm like remembering all this stuff because I wired it. I did all the work to it over the winter. So I'm familiar with the car, but not familiar with the process. So I'm figuring it out. We get it all like we're ready to start it, and they called a race. So that was like a terrible moment for me because I had done made my mind up. I was taking that thing to Gainesville to smash the quarter-mile world record by a tenth. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to be the one to smash it instead of Jeffrey. Jeffrey's all down in the dumps. I'm feeling terrible about ripping his ride away from him. He's done a bunch of work to get to do it. It all kind of works out now. I'll get my car fixed. It's actually in the paint shop, getting some paint on it, getting her party dress back on. I tore her party dress, got her all skin up. But she's getting some new paint on her. The Nitrous car will be back and be ready to rip when we go back to Gainesville. So it's treacherous and tragedy and mayhem. It makes a good movie.
But it makes a great story, right?
If we bounce back from this, I need like one of them Oscars or something they give the movie star people. It's crazy.
So the Nitrous car, I think that's like a big off-season story. You know, it's 566. You guys went in testing with it. You claimed it was old. What you guys got some time to
old, busted, and can't be trusted.
You guys got any plans to upgrade it before the reason?
They don't need to be upgraded. They'll all run 550 just like they said. You can take a 632 and take it NHRA and put Holly EFI on it and qualify for the field. You just got to run it like normal people run one. Can't turn the fifth kit on at 3.5 seconds. But we're not going to upgrade it. I told him, put it on jack stands. I moved the 4-link back where it needed to be for him with his body weight before I left Gainesville. I'm not going to start it until we roll into Q1. It's ready to go. It can't go slow enough to not run good. So I see that we got some nitrous weight rules. Let me go ahead and just dive on in. You feel like diving?
You dive on in.
Throw the microphone off. Start getting fired up. I see that we got some nitrous weight rule adjustments before the first race. Now, I don't know what's going on with the NHRA technical department.
They're on sick leave or corona leave.
But y'all are laughing because you know what I'm about to say. They may have missed the fact that there weren't a lot of PDRA cars that didn't come convert to add the 125 pounds and spend the $25,000 on the safety modifications. They think 25 pounds is going to get that. But they must have missed the fact that if we're going to make preseason rule changes, how about my man Michael Bealey, whose turbo car is ripping down the racetrack and it's 1,300s behind the field? He didn't get a pound of boost. I hate turbos more than I hate anything. And them guys need some help. How are you going to show up to one race and you expect to run at the top of the field? I'm not knocking the Pro Charger combination. Justin Bond's a teammate of mine. He's got a bad hot rod. I love seeing them things run, but not in bass fishing, golf, baseball. If I showed up at the Super Bowl, they wouldn't even let me play. And they show up and slap us around, but we're going to give the nitrous cars 25 pounds. I don't know. It makes for a good
It's
story.
weird, man.
It's going to be a fun season.
I thought whenever Justin Bond went 562 down there in Orlando, I thought, oh my God, they're gonna crucify me before this deal's over because they're gonna be changing rules. I thought they'd hang weight on that, do something.
Well, they should have used that as a barometer. If you're gonna fly NHRA tech there and have NHRA tech at the event, use that performance from that event as a barometer to get some parity. Don't wait till race 5. But
I actually thought that was the only reason they agreed to do it because I want to give the NHRA a brief shout out because I didn't think that they would agree to do it now. Now we had to pay them. We had to pay them to come. They didn't do it for free, but I thought
pay them to bring their eyeballs or they just brought their notepad?
I think they brought their notepad, man. I mean, I was so proud of the way they did the tech at our race, but I can't believe that we're not learning from that. Right?
I don't care what they do. Everybody's like, oh my God, the Pro Charger. As fast as that thing is in good air, it's going to slow down in bad air and it'll be fine. One thing, man, I hate to agree with Ricky Smith, but one thing he said the other day on the social media is that anybody that's never really failed at a combination before shouldn't be able to just show up and slap the field around by 500s. That's probably pretty accurate. I felt like my program is pretty remote, but the picking up a 10th at the time's over. It's funny how the fastest that they could run last year in NHRA is like 585 at 230. And then all of a sudden you put up some money, they pick up 2.5 tenths and 20 miles an hour. You know, that'll help you out. If I can pick up 20 miles an hour, it'll help me out. But no matter what they decide to do, they'll get it right. I think I see the point of the nitrous rule adjustment. Just make it 100 pounds. If you're trying to lure them guys in, I know they got some people in their ear about the big motor's not competitive and stuff. I'll show y'all. Don't worry. I got one coming too. So I hope they take 100 pounds off that big motor.
I honestly, I hope they do. I mean, I hope they do whatever is required to encourage the participation of more nitrous cars. I think you'll agree. Like, we need them out there, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, they sound good. They look good. Hood scoops and header flames, nitrous purges. We need all those things. So I really hope that they do something to spur some participation. I'd love to see some of these PDRA Pro Nitrous guys, even if they only show up for a race or two, right? I would love to see them come out and be a part of this deal.
Every time they take weight off that big motor, I call Jay Cox and dare him to step across the chalk line. We're coming to race in Charlotte. It's not far of a drive. I don't want to hear whining and bitching and complaining. 25 or whatever more pounds. They ought to give Jay like 100-pound credit, just so he don't have to do shit and he can show up and try to qualify 30.
Stevie, what we need to go from a PDRA Pro Nitrous car to a quarter mile? I mean, how much is it? Is it a lot of changeover for a nitrous guy?
The biggest thing is all the safety updates. That was the biggest problem with us having to rob the Barker Max car. You know, last year I can just get my Shadow ready to go in 3 days and I can take that thing out. The Shadow is a backup car. I can't afford to spend $20,000 updating the safety stuff to have it sit there. So when, like, believe me, I called around. Justin Bond offered me to let me drive his car in Gainesville. and I just couldn't do that to him. I didn't think that was a good idea, but there are no cars around. So to get back to your question, I'm not trying to steer away from it. It's a lot to do for those guys to add 15 pounds to their car when they can't already make weight at PDRA. It's really hard for them because I think they can weigh 2450 or something. It's really hard for them to get to that weight with that big engine. So then to spend $20,000 and add 15 or 20 pounds to come to 1 or 2 races is a difficult proposition.
Do you, as a super safety oriented guy, Stevie, someone I know you buy, I'm talking about you. You've always been the guy that buys everything that you can buy to be safe. How did you respond to that change? Because you're making a really great point. Like we try to change the rules to bring in all these PDRA guys, and then we put this massive barrier to entry in place. I mean, were you on board with the rule changes?
Hell no, I wasn't on board with any of them. I told them it was all crazy. But I screamed and whined and complained, bitched and yelled, and it fell on deaf ears. I think that I see the package and the vision, and a lot of those rules have been in the rule book forever. For instance, the tunnel rule, that's been in the rule book for a decade, but they just don't enforce it. I just think it's a massive amount to put in a short amount of time. Do I think all that stuff is safe? Yeah, maybe it's better. But to institute that amount of rules at one time, dude, it was a nightmare getting our stuff done. I mean, just to get it completed in time was a nightmare. And it's cobbled up, and halfway through the season, all that crap everybody's got all over their transmission is going to have duct tape holding it together, and they're going to be hammering it off. And it's just a lot. I see the thing. Of course, nobody wants to get hurt. I'm a safety guy. These cars are dangerous. When you drive these race cars, guess what? You're going to crash. Bad things are going to happen. It's not a for everyone class. There are classes for everyone. This is not – you cannot legislate these things to be 100% safe because there won't be anybody racing.
Right. You're exactly right, man. And honestly, Stevie, that's a great place to wrap things up. There's nothing – that's what makes drag racers heroes. That's why we put you on magazine covers. That's why we interview you on shows, because you guys are courageous. It's like the most understated – thing in all of drag racing is the courage it takes to do it, man. Stevie, thank you for being here, being a part of this first ever episode of Burnout. We love you, man, and we look forward to seeing you on the track soon.
I'm just so excited to talk about some drag racing. Like, if you call me, like when we're done with this, if you want to BS about racing and bench race, just call me back. I'm so tired of hearing about flus and bird flus and pandemics. I'm ready to talk about tire smoke. Please.
Do you have enough hand sanitizer there? Or
in there? Phil's trying to give me money for it every day. He's like, I give you $5 for that last bottle of hand sanitizer. I'm like, no. This Tucker went and bought a 55-gallon drum of alcohol, and he's put it in a spray bottle, and he's walking around spraying everybody in the shop. Like, you walk out, he's like, give me your hands. The damn FedEx guy, he's scared to death. Every time he comes up, Phil's like, where you been? You been anywhere everybody got the coronavirus? So
I put a can of brake clean
here at KTR.
I put a can of brake clean in my backpack, and I just been carrying it around. Yeah, it worked my whole childhood. Well, Stevie, thank you again for joining us, man. We appreciate it a bunch, and we'll talk to you real soon, okay?
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Stevie.
Thank you, guys.